Within every tattoo, there lies a hidden message, a secret code, a mystery waiting to be unraveled by anyone who cares enough to read deeper into the ink. And just like every tattoo has its own unique story, every one of us will interpret that story in its own unique way. I'm Jordy Ramone, and if you'd let me, I'd like to guide you through a history of symbolism and tell you the story of a tattoo. The Grim Girl. It seems as though I was bound to this tattoo by the red cord of fate. I had to start work a few hours early just to fit it into my already much too busy schedule. I did so because I saw it as a perfect jumping off point for the discussions I had planned for these videos. But now it seems a bit too close to home. As I lied awake at 2 a.m. typing out the script that I am reading right now, I was dreading tomorrow morning. I should have been resting up for the Virginia Beach Tattoo Convention, but instead I was wide-eyed in fear and anxiety. I had just received a phone call that evening asking me to call my grandmother in the morning, and I was fairly certain that the reason I had been asked to call her was so that she could tell me that she will most likely not be attending my wedding this October. You see, earlier this week, I was informed that my grandmother Ruth, who is 92 years old, was being moved to hospice due to a terminal illness. And up until recently, Ruth had always been as youthful as anyone half her age, until she just wasn't. I'm finally getting married, and after all this time, she might miss it, just like that. But that's the Reaper for you. He or she doesn't concern herself with your needs or desires. She doesn't care if you're rich or poor, young or old, lawful good or chaotic evil. And she certainly doesn't take your wedding plans into account when she knocks at your door. This sad truth is one that most of us learn at a young age, and it's an experience that changes us at our core, for better or worse. Death's presence looms over us no matter where we go or what we do. It's always on our mind, in our consciousness, and I think that's why its image, the fictional depiction of the physical form of death, has become such a timeless icon. The visage of death. The Grim Reaper, or some version of it, spans most of history and the globe. Nuestra Señora de la Santa Muerte, which, translated from Spanish, means Our Lady of Holy Death. Often referred to simply as Santa Muerte, she is depicted in Mexican Catholic folklore as a skeletal woman in a hooded robe adorned with flowers. Santa Muerte, however, is not looked at with fear or regarded as a bad omen. She is instead associated with healing and protection. She is charged with the safe delivery of the faithful into an afterlife of peace and happiness. On the other hand, in parts of Asia, King Yama is the Lord of Death. He is often characterized riding a black buffalo and is said to snare souls with his lasso to carry them away to whatever afterlife he deems them worthy of, be it eternal bliss or endless agony. Interestingly enough, King Yama has infiltrated the folklore of many Eastern cultures, including that of China, Japan, and Korea. In Korean folklore, King Yama doesn't leave the throne of hell at all. He instead employs an emissary of the netherworld called Gyeosung to do his dirty work. Gyeosung is said to be a strict bureaucratic officer, acting as King Yama's personal collector of souls. Gyeosung duties also include deciding when and where all of our poor souls should go. And these are just a few examples of how far the Reaper has traveled across cultures, across continents, and across our human consciousness. But why, in present day, does the Reaper seem to have earned himself a permanent spot in the top 10 list of popular tattoo designs? I suppose some of us feel the need to be constantly reminded of death in order to create a sense of urgency in our own day-to-day life. Or maybe there's a certain comfort in facing our deepest fears head-on. In any case, no tattoo artist worth their salt has gone long without carving the image of the Grim Reaper into someone's mortal flesh. The tattoo in this video, however, sets out to put a different spin on the old emissary of the netherworld. For this design, I was asked to replace the traditional skeleton within the hooded cloak with the image of a woman. And in doing so, we've changed the meaning entirely. What was once a simple narrative now has a whole new layer. In adding new symbolism, we start to tell a brand new story. And that's where every old tattoo starts to get a bit more interesting. Why the woman instead of the skeleton? What story is this tattoo trying to tell? To decode the secret message, we'll need to first investigate the meaning behind the female form. Women have been the focus of art throughout history all over the world, and their shape and figure has been used to represent so many different ideas. A woman can be a sign of life or the creation of it. She can be an emblem of love or beauty or even jealousy. I once read an article in which an author negatively critiqued a painting of a woman. He claimed such images reinforce the idea that woman, imprisoned within her biology as the innocent vessel of life-bearing force, is incapable of transcending her bodily functions and desires. So I suppose, if one was so inclined, one could even claim that the female figure can be used to portray an unstoppable force of nature, or the idea that we are all bound to our biological design, bound to fate's own design. Now that we've discussed some of the possible allegories of the angel of death and the female form, we can start to understand the cipher and tell the story of the grim girl. I suppose her story could be told many ways, but as for me, the grim girl is a reminder that the universe treats us all the same in the end. In this tattoo, I intentionally drew her face with an expression of knowing and compassion in order to further convey this point, as if to say mortality doesn't have to be our greatest fear. It could be a comfort. Death could be a soft and reassuring voice saying, in the end, no matter what you are or what you've done, I'll treat you the same. I'm Jordy Ramone, and this has been The Story of a Tattoo. I truly appreciate you for watching and listening, and if you'd like to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comment section below. And do yourself a favor, have a nice night.